So today we will cover Java constructors. So what is constructor? What is the advantage of a constructor? And how many types of constructors supported by Java that we will discuss. Suppose a small scenario. Suppose I will show. Let class A, suppose int x, let there is a method void get method system.out.println. Suppose x equals to the value of x. Let class B public static void main string args. Then A, I will declare the object of A class. So then obj dot get method. So this is a very simple source code. So this type of program that already we have known. Then you tell what is the output. Simple. A is a class. One data member int x I have taken. One method I have defined get method, and I took the object of A class, then object dot get method. So when this line will execute, this portion will execute, get method definition will execute. So what is the output? X equals to what? You tell. Suhangi,
Yes,
Anurag,
sir.
and Sachin. So here the value of X I have not
Isn't
given. So when the control, so there is no value of X, the programmer have not given the value to X, but we have written output statement X equals to the value of X. So here in this context, what the control will do? So control will give the default value of int type because X is an int type of variable. So if X value the programmer have not given, so at that context, the control will give the default value of int, that is 0. So output will come x equals to 0. Just to see, so if I will save this program and your folder is Java programming, let b.java. I will do all files. Then I will go to command prompt, A drives, then I will go to Java programming folder, Java C space b.java, then Java space B. Just to see what the output came, x equals to 0. Then internally, somebody is responsible to give this value. That somebody is, you remember, default constructor. Default constructor. Default constructor is responsible to give the default value of x. So since x is an int type of variable, the default constructor provided the default value of int. Hence we got x equals to 0. You remember default value of int is 0. So the constructor is a method. Every program having a default constructor. Suppose you are not specifying any constructor explicitly. Suppose I will write class A and some source code I will write at the time of compilation. So at the time of compilation, so what the compiler will do, class A and one default constructor the compiler will provide. This. So this is a default constructor. Default constructor. So constructor is a method and it is a special method. The constructor name and class name must be same. Why constructor? The constructor specifically used to initialize variable or object. If a program having no constructor at the time of compilation, the compiler provide a default constructor. Some points, so I can write constructor is a special method. Constructor name and the class name must be same. The constructor is used to initialize variables or data members or objects. We will see the constructor executes automatically when an object is created, which is the main advantage. The constructor never returns any value. The constructor executes when an object is created. When you are writing public static void main, then the first line is object declaration. When you are declaring an object, the control will check if the program containing constructor, that constructor will execute automatically. We know when a method is invoking by an object, then the method definition is executing. That means object is requesting to method. But here there is no request. This method automatically execute when an object is creating. We will see. Java supports two types of constructors like zero arg constructor and n arg constructor, which is called as parameterized constructor. parameterized constructor. So we will see what is zero arg constructor. So we will see what is zero arg constructor. The constructor having no argument is known as zero arg constructor. We will see let class A. There is a class A. Let having two data members int x comma y, and I will define a constructor. The constructor is a method, and the method name and the class name must be same. So y constructor to initialize data member, to initialize variable. So we know when the value is assigning to a variable, that is initialization. Suppose I will write let x equals to 100, y equals to 200. This. So this is zero arg constructor. Explicitly we define, and you see this constructor having no argument. Let we have a normal method, let's show method, suppose. So to output statement, I will write system.out.println x equals to the value of x, system.out.println y equals to the value of y. This step number 1 is complete. So what I did, so here let A is a class containing two data member x and y. One default zero arg constructor I have defined, and that zero arg constructor representing what the value of x is 100 and y is 200, that we have assigned. And one show method, normal method, that is also called as concrete method. Normal method, show method I have defined, to output statement I have written. Let I will go to main method. Let class constructor example1. Let public static void main string args. Now I will declare the object aobj equals to new a. So what the concept is saying, when this line will execute, this statement representing object declaration. So when this line is executing, then this person will execute automatically. So object means a memory. A memory will allocate a memory. This is, so this is an object. Let this is the object obj. So this is the object obj. Let object name is obj, and two data member. So one is x, another is y. So when an object we declared, constructor will execute automatically. So now this is 100 and this is 200. This is the meaning. So now constructor executed automatically, and show method. So this is a normal method that we have known, obj.show method. This. Now I will save this program. Program name is constructor example1.java. Now I will save. So now I will go to command prompt, Java C space file name constructor example1 dot Java, Java space class name constructor example1. Okay, so we got x equals to 100 and y equals to 200. I hope you got the clarity. Give a response. So this is
Yes, sir.
zero arg constructor. The constructor taking no argument. That constructor we are saying zero arg constructor. The purpose of constructor is simply to initialize data member or to initialize variables or objects. So here variables have initialized. Okay, and the main advantage is constructor executing automatically when an object is creating. When we declare an object, the control is checking if the program containing constructor or not. So if the program containing constructor, that constructor executing automatically. Clear? So then we will go to the parameterized constructor. So another constructor is arg or parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor. The constructor taking parameters is known as parameterized constructor. Here instance variables equals local variables. So this point you remember, instance variable in parameterized constructor context. So whatever we have the instance variables, that instance variables equals to the local variable. The variables which are declared inside a class, that is instance. The variables which are declared inside a method, that is local. So we will see by taking an example. So let class A int x comma y. So one constructor, suppose I will define int p comma int q. Let. So this is parameterized because two parameters I have taken. Parameterized constructor. So what the concept told, instance variable x and y are two instance variable, p and q local variable. X equals to phi, y equals to q. Yes. Then there is a normal method where so then I can write system.out.println x equals to the value of x, system.out.println y equals to the value of y. Okay, so what I did here, a parameterized constructor that I have defined. So as per the concept, instance variables equals local variable. So here there may be a question, constructor is used to initialize variables or objects. So here we have not given any value. So where we will give the value? Just to see class constructor example 2 public static keyword main string args. So now I will declare an object, let a of b equals to new a 300 comma 400. You remember at the time of a declaration of an object, it is very important point. If we are passing a value, so this is the case of parameterized constructor. So control will sure the programmer have defined parameterized constructor. So this 300 and 400 is the value of P and Q. 300 is the value of P, 400 is the value of Q. Because of when an object is declaring, constructor automatically executing. You remember, if you have parameterized constructor, then at the time of declaration of an object, you have to pass the parameter or you have to pass the value. So 300 is the value of P, 400 is the value of Q. Then we have written X equals to P. That means P value is assigning in X, Q value is assigning in Y. Hence, X value is 300, Y value is 400. Clear? So when this line executed, so this constructor definition will execute. Then show method is a normal method, so I can write ob.show method. Yes. Now I will save. So constructor example 2.java. Now I will do all files, then save, go to command prompt, Java C, constructor example 2.java. Now there is no error. Now I will run Java space class name, Java constructor example 2. Just to see X equals to 300, Y equals to 400. So I hope you got the clarity. Give a response.
Yes, sir.
Anurag, Sachin, Suvangi.
Yes, sir.
So concept is clear. So this
Yes,
is
sir.
all about parameterized constructor. The constructor taking parameters is known as parameterized constructor. In parameterized constructor context, instance variable equals local variable. Then another point is, in parameterized constructor concept, at the time of declaration of an object, we are passing a value. So this is called as object initialization, but actually object is a memory. So inside that memory, whatever the data member we have, that is initializing. Clear? Concept is clear. So then
Yes, sir.
we will go to the next constructor, copy constructor. Actually, copy constructor coming from C++. So I think this part you have written. Have you written all these things?
Yes, sir.
Anurag, Sachin.
Sir,
Yes, sir,
ଟିକେ ଆଉ
written.
just ଟିକେ ଅଛି.
So actually, copy constructor coming from C++. So since Java supports all the concept of C++, so that's why Java supports the concept of copy constructor. So what is the concept of copy constructor? Copy constructor. Copy constructor. Suppose we have two objects. Let OB1 and OB2. So we have two objects. This is one object and this is another object. The copy constructor is used to copy one object into another. Let this object is, let obj1 and this object is obj2. And suppose obj1 having two data member, one is x and y, and so Now, so I can write this is X and Y. Let the value is suppose 400, then 500. So copy constructor, the constructor which is used to copy one object into another. The constructor which is used to copy one object to another. Another means another object is known as copy constructor. See, object is a memory. Memory is not copied into another memory. Actually meaning is inside the memory, whatever the data member, that data member value, that data member is copied along with the value. This X and Y, two data member of obj1, this X and Y will be copied into obj2. Then here in this context, the concept told if one object is copied, suppose particular data we will copy, the concept is saying this you will do with the help of a reference. This X data member will copied here, this data member will be copied here by a reference. The concept is saying by a reference. Suppose let reference is R. So this data member will copy R dot X, R dot Y. So data member will be accessed by reference using dot operator. So I hope you got the clarity. So in copy constructor context, the data member of an object is copied into another object with the help of a reference. So definitely we will take a reference as an argument, whatever we have the constructor. Otherwise, we can say in copy constructor, the constructor takes an argument which is a reference. So here the constructor takes a reference as an argument or as an parameter, as an argument or as a parameter. So two objects, if we will analyze this scenario, we will consider two objects. Just we will see by taking an example. Let class A int x comma y. Let we have a parameterized constructor. Currently we discussed int p comma int q. So I will write x equals to p, y equals to q. So this is parameterized constructor. Parameterized constructor. Then now I will define another constructor. This is called as copy constructor. Within bracket, what I have written, AR, class name something. That something is considering as reference. I have taken R. So if you remember, if a constructor taking a reference as parameter, that constructor is called as copy constructor. Copy constructor. Copy constructor. Then, so how the data member will access R dot X? X value is R dot X. Y equals to R dot Y. So now this is my copy constructor. So since we have a reference, so through the reference or with the help of a reference, we access X and Y. The value of X is R dot X. The value of Y is R dot Y. Normal method, suppose one show method I define. So I can write system dot out dot println x equals to then the value of x. Then I can write system dot out dot println y equals to the value of y. So now step number 1 is complete. Class constructor example 3, public static void main string args. So now I will take an object A obj1 equals to new A. Since we have defined parameterized constructor currently we discussed. So if you have a parameterized constructor at the time of declaration of an object, I will assign the value. So 400 is the value of a P, 500 is the value of a Q, P value will assign in X, Q value will assign in Y. Hence X equals to 400, Y equals to 500. Let A, another object I will take obj2 equals to new A. So what I will do, simply I will pass here obj1. So obj1 representing what? X equals to 400, Y is equal to 500, yes or no? obj1 is the object of A class. So obj1, the object obj1 representing x equals to 400, y equals to 500. So when I declared another object obj2, simply I passed to obj1. So this is the object. So when this line will execute, this person will execute whatever we have the copy constructor, that copy constructor definition will execute. Okay, so obj1 equals to R. R is the reference, obj1 is object. So if just I will if I will write some output statement for getting clarity here, suppose just to see system.out.println, suppose I will write in obj1, within double quote whatever I will write, it will display in your console. Then obj1 dot show method. So when this line will execute, this portion will execute, output will come in obj1, x equals to 400, y equals to 500. So now another output statement, suppose here I will write for getting clarity, in obj2, so I will write obj2 dot show method. So when show method invoked by the obj2, then again show method definition will execute. So what the output will come in obj2, x equals to 400, y is equal to 500. So my point is, when you will see the output, from the output everybody can get the clarity object is copied or not. Just to see, now I will save this program. So constructor, example, constructor example 3.java. Now I will do all files, then I will save, go to command prompt, java c space constructor example 3.java, then so system. So where is our error? X equals to, so here a small s I have written s. So now I will save again. So again I will go to the command prompt. So I will compile java c constructor example 3.java. Now I will run java space constructor example 3. Just to see what the output in obj1, x equals to 400, y equals to 500. In obj2, x equals to 400, y is equal to 500. So from the output, we observed obj1 is copied into obj2. That means whatever the data member x and y of obj1, that is copied into obj2. I hope you got the clarity. Give a response. Give a
Yes,
response.
sir. Yes, sir.
So this is obj. Sorry, this is x. So after copied, this is x and y. So it will be 400 and it will be 500. Clear? So this is all about copy constructor. This is all about copy constructor. The constructor which is used to copy an object into another. And here, another point we are observing multiple constructors. It is possible that we can define in a program. Just to see here, parameterized constructors I have defined, then copy constructor I have defined. Okay, so what we are observing, it is possible that we can define multiple constructors in a program which is called as constructor overloading. So particularly from this example, we observed. I hope you got the clarity. So I can write also a note point. So that note point is what? Note. Okay, it is possible. Okay, that it is possible. It is possible that multiple constructors, we can define. We can define in a program which is known as constructor overloading. Last class we have studied method overloading. Method name is same, they are different by their signature. Multiple times that method we can define, then that is called as method overloading. Since constructor is also a method, and just to see this constructor, so having two int parameter, this constructor taking a reference, so they are different by their signature. Constructor name is always same, so we can say this is constructor overloading. I hope you got the clarity. So this is all about Java constructors. So how many constructors that we studied? Default constructor.
Three.
If a program having no constructor, at the time of compilation, the compiler providing default constructor. The purpose is the default constructor providing default value of specific data type whatever you have specified. Then explicitly we represented three constructors. One is zero arg constructor, one is n arg or parameterized constructor, another is copy constructor.
Copy.
Clear? Concept is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we will wind up our session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.